my name is Jenna and today I'm doing another hashtag finale talk where I am talking all about the Pretty Little Liars season 7B series finale. Before I go too far into the spoilery section of this video, I just wanted to say that I absolutely loved the finale. I thought it was so well done. The reveals were perfect and the character development was amazing and all the relationships are just so sweet, and I personally really love the finale and I'm so glad that it ended the way that it did. So pretty much all I want to say without spoiling everything, because I don't want this video to go for too long, and obviously with an hour-and-a-half long episode, AD was revealed, all the characters ended up in certain places, there's a lot to discuss. So if you haven't yet seen the episode, I recommend that you don't stay and watch this video because there's going to be massive, ridiculously huge spoilers as to who AD is and who ends up with who and where they all end up at the end of the series. Go and watch the episode, then come back, watch this video and discuss it all with us. So if you're still here, I'm going to assume that you have seen the finale and that you sort of know where all of this is going. So as I said, there is a lot to unpack in this finale, so I'm not going to be able to talk about everything, so I think what I'm going to focus on is I'm going to focus on AD and that reveal because that was such a big thing, and then I'm also going to focus on the like 5 or so endings that they had because they sort of kept showing us little bits and pieces from different characters, which I really loved. But so I think we'll start with the AD reveal and then we'll move on to the characters and to where they end up and who they ended up with. First things first, I was completely right in who I thought AD was going to be. I said back in, I've been saying it for ages, but definitely back in, I think it was episode 15, whichever episode Ren first showed up in this season, I think like the one in the airport, that was the moment where I went, you know what? There is no way that Spencer could go from her barn where she's washing her hair to the airport and back again in that short amount of time. She has to have a twin. Like, that's the only thing that made sense to me. So there was that, and then again when she showed up at Toby's cabin but at the same time was meant to be meeting Mary, I was like, this just doesn't match up. The timeline does not make any sense. So from those points on, I was pretty convinced that she was gonna have a twin, and then of course going into the finale, the first A reveal was Melissa, and my sister had thought that it was gonna be Melissa. So she was like, yes, I was right. And I was just sitting there going, I really don't think you are, because it's only been like 14 minutes. They're not going to reveal A this quickly. And I had been through the promo for the finale frame by frame, so I knew that like Mona was wearing a black hoodie and hitting Spencer across the face, and then that Mary was drugging Spencer, and I was like, what is going on? So in the episode itself, the moment I knew for sure that they were doing the twin thing was when Spencer went to visit Mary Drake, and of course everyone's meant to think that it's Spencer, but she was there and I was like, nah. Number one, she called Mary Drake mum, and I don't care that it's been a year, Spencer would not be doing that. Number two, I just had a feeling that it was gonna be a twin, and then it was. I love the fact that AD ended up being Spencer's evil twin. I loved it because of the way the books are done and the way twins are so heavily invested in this mythology. I don't think they could have done it any other way, personally. I know there was a lot of lobbying for someone like Melissa or Ren or somebody to be AD, but people don't understand that you can't just hope that an actor who's not one of your series regulars, who's not contracted to you, will be available for something that big. And I think that's something that people need to get into their heads. It had to be one of the series regulars because they couldn't guarantee they could get anybody else for the finale and for enough that it would make sense. So I know a lot of people always wanted it to be one of the liars. There was always a lot of talk about it being Arya, but personally I love the fact that it was Spencer's evil twin, Alex. I just literally, as soon as Spencer woke up in that bunker and she had her reflection, I was like, oh my god, yes. And then Alex started talking and she had this like really Cockney British accent, and I was like, that's intense. That is a real intense accent. Like, okay, wow. I think that Trowan did an absolutely incredible job in this episode being able to play Spencer and Alex, and I just think that she really captured how crazy Alex really is, because, you know, when you think about it, Alex had every reason to hate these girls, and I think for her, I mean, Ren finding her in London is definitely something that would affect her quite literally, because then, you know, she's introduced to her half-sister Charlotte, and then she's introduced to Archer, and the four of them sort of form this sort of friendship, but then through them Alex sort of learns about Spencer, learns about Spencer's Spencer's life and realizes, you know, that could have been her life, because obviously Mary was never going to keep the kids, but Spencer was the one who got adopted. Alex was the one who was sold to a couple in England who then ditched her and left her in an orphanage. Like, you'd be already pretty messed up from that, and then the fact that obviously her mother is not the most stable person around, and you know, sometimes that can be passed down. So I think that definitely played into the fact that she just was crazy. She was just a crazy person. So if we quickly sort of go through the recap of how the episode went. So we start off, we find out that it's 1 year later, which is just absolutely crazy. We find out that Arya and Ezra are about to get married. Emily and Allison are raising 2 little baby girls. They had twins, Lily and Grace, which are just the cutest little names, and they're the cutest little babies. I just love them so much. We find out in this episode that Ren was actually the father of the babies. I don't think the girls ever found out, but we found out, which I really appreciated because I needed to know who was the dad of those babies. Hannah and Caleb are still married, but they're having Mona move in with them, which Caleb is not 100% okay with, and Hannah is, you know, trying to help her, but even I was like, Hannah, girl, what are you doing? You saw what happened when Allison tried to have Charlotte move in. Like, bad things happen. And then of course we had Spencer, who was, you know, doing really well. She was a partner with her mum, like she was paralegal at her mum's law office, and she had a horse, which was weird. And then of course Toby came back, which was really lovely as well. And I think especially I like the fact that Toby had a year apart from Spencer. Like, they didn't just get back together straight away, especially because of what happened with him and Yvonne. So I'm really glad. Although you have to think about the fact that he's gonna know that he slept with Spencer's twin. I can't. That would be so weird. So throughout the episode, it's basically focused very much on Arya and Ezra's wedding, and then it's also focused on the AD reveal. So in the Arya and Ezra wedding sort of situation, they all go to a kind of bachelorette party sort of thing, but it ends up just being this really lovely dinner with all of them together at the Lost Woods Resort, which Ali and Spencer have done up again, and I think they're going to start opening it to the public, yada yada. And it's this really sweet little scene where everyone's like, this is great, I can't believe this is happening. We find out of course that Arya can't have children, which I also picked. So Arya can't have children, and so she worries that that's going to affect Ezra, because she's known for like 2 months that she can't do this and she didn't tell him, which is kind of sad. Emily and Allison are having some problems because Allison keeps sort of meeting Emily's mum for, you know, an unspecified reason, but we find out later on that it's actually because she wanted to propose to Emily with Emily's grandmother's ring, which she did, which Emily accepted, which I just was like, oh my goodness, I can't anymore. This couple, I wasn't like completely sure about them, and then they've blossomed so much in this last season, and I'm like, yep, no, they were always going to be endgame. That was just always going to happen. So then we get to the rehearsal dinner where the wine mums make a reappearance, which was possibly the best thing ever. Like, wine mums, all we ever wanted to know was how they got out of the basement. Unfortunately, they didn't tell us, but it's actually kind of more fun for us to just kind of imagine. They definitely brought it up and they talked about it, but it was much more fun. Like, I love just being able to think, I wonder if they did this. I think it involved a lot of acrobatics and climbing out of windows, to be perfectly honest. So shooting forward all the way to the actual wedding day, which is after the AD reveal. So the wedding day is actually after we find out that Alex is AD, because she's got Spencer locked up in this underground bunker, and she sort of reveals that she wants to, you know, take Spencer's life, which is so creepy. Basically everything after that, anything like Alex was in, you're just like, oh guys, God, like when she had one of the babies, I was like, nah, put it down. So at the wedding, we find out that Ezra hasn't shown up, and Arya's really, you know, upset about it. Although I have to say, Arya's wedding dress was awful. It was just, it was not good. It did not look good at all. It was actually, oh, it was so gross. I can't even talk about it because it was just that gross. But of course we worry, because why wouldn't Ezra show up at the wedding? Turns out that Alex has him, although I never really understood why. That was like the one thing that I never really understood, why Alex took Ezra so they couldn't get married. I never quite got that. So Alex tells us pretty much all the answers that we ever wanted to know, but she does it so quickly that you just kind of, you just had to sort of keep up. Like, there was one very short little line that literally was Ren saying to her, I created life for you, and that was me going, so does this mean that he fathered the twins? Then I had to look it up online. Yes, he did. So we find out that not only did Alex want to find out who it was that killed Charlotte, she also was interested in taking over Spencer's life. So the plan was that she was, you know, gonna kill Spencer and then take her life, not just because she loved her life, but because she'd fallen in love with and wanted Toby. Now of course we knew that she loved Ren, so we were all like, what happened to Ren? It turns out she murdered him and put his ashes in a little diamond, and it was so creepy because it's like, wow, that's so messed up. Like, that's so messed up. So it follows is Spencer and Ezra, and they're in this sort of underground bunker sort of thing, which they then lockpick out of because it's Spencer and she's awesome. And they find out that they're actually still in this underground bunker that Alex has made up to be like Spencer's house. So she's literally planning on keeping Spencer down here for the rest of her life. She doesn't want to kill her because she's family. But things go very badly, horribly wrong for everybody, and Alex decides, actually no, Spencer, you need to die. And like, why? Also, why was Ezra down there? I literally cannot figure this out. So while all of this is going on, topside, they're finally figuring out that Spencer is not Spencer. And I have to say, these girls are not smart because it took them way too long to figure it out. And the only way they figured it out is because Toby was with Spencer and the horse kind of went crazy. And it's like, horses go crazy sometimes, you know, that's fine. And then Jenna smelt a different perfume on Spencer and was like, yeah, I don't think Spencer's Spencer, to Toby. And I'm like, I'm sorry, what? Like, come on, you've got to be joking. Thank goodness for Mona is all I'm gonna say, because Mona is literally the reason why they found out what they needed to know. We think this whole time that she's still on the A-team, that she's working for Alex. We find out that technically, yes, she is, but she has no idea who Alex is, and she's more doing it because she wants to win the game for herself, which is, Mona is very messed up. She's been messed up since the beginning, and I mean, yeah. So Mona and the others, they all discover Spencer isn't really Spencer. Spencer, you know, has a twin, and it's probably this twin that's doing all of this. So they figure out where it is. They rush over there to the house that Toby built, which is just, you know, I'm pretty sure that what that means is that Alex wanted her and Toby to live in that house and have, you know, Spencer down the bottom, which is so weird. But they end up finding the bunker and they all sort of go down there while Ezra and Spencer are running away from Alex. So when they finally do get down there, Ezra is like on the floor bleeding a lot, so Arya runs to him, which was kind of cute. I hated their relationship to start with because it was so damn creepy. Like, he was literally her teacher, but now I'm more on board with her. I'm more okay. And of course, we had the stupid, they were wearing the same clothes, they sounded the same, they had to, you know, figure out who was which twin. And I just, that moment, I was just like, guys, come on, like, really? Luckily, Toby asked about the poem, like her favorite poem from the book that she gave him. Although I have to say, how the hell did Spencer know what book Alex gave him? Like, how? How did she know? Either way, they got it right. They figured out who Alex was, and Alex was taken away by who we thought was a cop, but is definitely not. One of the creepiest lines in the entire episode for me was when Alex says to Mona, no one can call you Loser Mona anymore, and she kind of just turns around and goes, you have no idea. And I love that. I thought it was so great. So talking about the different endings, the first ending that we sort of had was the wedding between Arya and Ezra, which we finally got to see, and it was a really nice little throwback to the beginning. You know, it was just really sweet. Everyone was there. Hannah gives Emily like a tissue, which in the original episode she gave her a flask, and it was just really nice callback. Marlene had a cameo in that like little scene where the text alert goes off and everyone's like looking around, and it turns out it's Marlene, and she's just like, oh, that was really sweet, and I'm really, really glad that Marlene got to be in that. So that was kind of the first ending that we had. So we find out that Arya and Ezra are definitely getting married, which is just, you know, the cutest thing. The second ending that we had, and possibly the saddest ending like ever, literally the most bittersweet thing, was the 5 girls in front of the church. So obviously we know Allison and Emily are together raising these 2 beautiful little girls, and they're gonna get married. Arya and Ezra have decided that they're gonna try and adopt when they get back from their honeymoon. Hannah and Caleb are together, and Hannah tells everyone that she's pregnant, which is, can you imagine a little Caleb baby running around? And Spencer kind of insinuates that she and Toby are back together and that they're gonna be together for a really long time, and that was just so sweet. And Allison's line, like, that it feels like the end of something, oh man, I couldn't, like, the tears were falling because it was just so sweet. After that, so that's the second. After that, I can only ever remember 4 of the endings, because Marlene did say there were like 5, but I can only ever remember 4 of them. So the next ending was in France, which has Mona. She is kind of running a doll shop, which is kind of creepy. And then the guy who we thought was the cop comes in and kisses her, and you're kind of like, whoa, hold the phone a second. Did Mona get with a cop? Not exactly. She goes downstairs where she has this little dollhouse, and I'm like, yeah, Mona's always gonna want to play with dolls. Like, she's so creepy. Turns out she's literally got Alex and Mary in a dollhouse. like just sitting there eating tea and crumpets, and I was like, wow. Mona she won the game. She dominated everything. She was like the ultimate A, and I love her for it. She got kind of a happy ending, you know, kind of in a really twisted way. She got kind of a happy ending. The final few moments of the episode had to do with Addison and her new little group of friends. So obviously you remember that Allison and Emily both teach at Rosewood High, where there is a student there named Addison who is basically a mini Allison, and she has sort of collected a group of students that are basically a mini Aria, Hannah, Emily, and Spencer. And the coolest thing about it is those kids, well, the teenagers who are playing those characters are actually the teenagers who played the little kids, like the tiny children in one of the Christmas episode, or the Christmas episode or whatever it was. There was an episode not like a while back that they had the kids playing like mini-me's of the characters, and they came back and played these teenagers, which I thought was really cool. So the episode literally ends with these kids, and it is a complete callback to the pilot episode. It is 100% a 360-degree turnaround, because they've got these characters and they're waking up and they're like, I don't know what happened. Willow comes back, who's meant to be Discount Spencer, and is like, Addison's gone. I think I heard her scream. Now I want to say, I don't think this means that they're going to be doing a spin-off of these characters anytime soon, because no one would want that, but it does show that Rosewood is a creepy town, and that is never going to change, and that this cycle is probably just going to keep happening, especially if you keep having people like Addison and Allison, although Addison and Allison, wow, how did I never even get that? But yeah, like it's always going to happen, because these characters are just so messed up. There were so many callbacks to previous episodes that I don't really want to go into all of them here, but we had lots of callbacks to different shots, songs, also different characters. I know we ended up having Maya St. Germain's as niece in this episode. So it's just a really lovely way to wrap up this incredible series and this incredible show, and I absolutely adored everything about it. So there you go. Those are all of my thoughts as to the Pretty Little Liars series finale. Like I said, I don't want to, you know, talk forever about this episode because it was so supersized. There just was so much to talk about. I have to say, I know a lot of people were really disappointed with the finale, but honestly, they were never going to be able to satisfy everybody, and I think one of the things people needed to get in their heads was it had to be one of the series regulars, just because TV is so fickle. I know they, well, for example, they really wanted Paige and Jason to be in the finale, but neither of them could be because neither of them were available. And that's kind of the issue that they had with trying to make it Melissa or Ren, because they had no guarantees that they were going to be able to get those characters back for the finale. And you have a shooting schedule that you have to stick to. You have to, you know, you have to take the actors where you can get them. And that's one of the reasons why I think we ended up with Spencer's twin as AD. But honestly, for me personally, it was just the perfect reveal, and I absolutely loved it. So there we go. That is everything. That's Pretty Little Liars done and dusted. That's literally it. There's no more Pretty Little Liars, and that is so upsetting. I think I've decided that I'm going to read the books now. I know the books are completely different to the show, but I just don't want to let go of these characters yet. I just love them too much. I don't want to say goodbye. Let me know in the comment section below what you thought of the AD reveal, and also what you thought of the finale. Are you happy that everyone ended up in their happy-go-lucky relationships? Are you happy that Alex was revealed as AD, or are you one of these people who would have wished it was someone else? If you like this video, be sure to give it a huge thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe to my channel so you don't miss a thing. Stay random. Bye.